There we go. Welcome, everybody. This is Mike McDonald. I'm the president of Kidventure Camps, and I'm excited to be with everyone today for the next in our series of live streams. And this one today is all about Discovers. And Discovers is our 3 to 5 year old summer day camp program, which takes place in all three cities, Houston, Austin, and Dallas. And I love Discovers. We've had Discover program out of the 30 years we've been running summer camp. We probably had Discovers about 25 years. And I am certainly not the expert on Discovers, but I did bring two very talented and skilled experts to help us out today. We're going to talk all about Discovers. Before we get into anything about camp and Discovers, I want to introduce our special guests today. The first of which is Miss Molly Bent from Austin. She's our camps coordinator. How are you doing, Molly?
I'm doing well. I love this nice warm weather we're already getting, so it's exciting.
Does this mean it's going to be a really hot summer when it's already this warm in March and February?
I thought about that and I really hope not.
It is going to be what it is, right? But it is
Yeah.
beautiful weather right now, for sure. Thanks so much for being with us today, Molly. It's great to have your experience and all your knowledge with us. Our next guest comes from Houston. It's Nada Galan. Nada, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I am excited for springtime, so I'm doing well.
Is that your favorite time of the year? Is spring like your season?
Yes. Yes, it's not too hot and it's not cold, and you can just sit outside and enjoy the outdoors.
I like it. I'm doing a lot of that
Mhm.
lately, for sure. Let's bring everybody together. Good to see everybody. It's great to have everyone with us today. Molly and Nada are both full-time employees of Kidventure, have been with Kidventure for many years, have done a lot of work with our Discover program. I mean, before we get going, Molly, Nada, what is it you love most about, I know we call them the littles, right? The blue shirts. So we have a lot of we have a lot of nicknames for nuggets. What do you love most about the Discover program?
I would just have to say just how happy they always like how they are. Yes, we have our crying and everything like that. That just comes with the age, but I feel like they're just hyped for anything.
Yeah.
And that's just what I love so much. They're excited to do anything and everything and just seeing them grow, especially our 3-year-olds that come to us for the first time ever. And then some of them will come almost all summer and just seeing them, that first day of camp until the last day of camp and how much they have grown over those
Yeah.
past 8 to 10 weeks.
Right. Some of our discovers like have grown out of the program and
Yeah.
become counselors and moved on. That makes me feel nice and old, right? By the way, Nada, what do you think? What do you love about the Discover program?
The thing I love the most about the Discover programs, they're always up to having fun. We can just play music and we all start dancing, and they're having the greatest time of their life. And it just makes it really fun to work with them because they're always looking to have fun. It doesn't matter what we're doing, we just love to have fun with them.
Yeah, I think for me, like everything is new, right? And and like it's like everything is new every day. Everything is new, right? And I love that wonderment, that sense of like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Every day. They're not seasoned like a 10-year-old camper, right? The sense of wonderment and newness about everything we do at camp is pretty much like that every day, and I love to see that in their eyes. So, all right, well, let's get going. Let's talk about first sort of what we're going to be doing today. Set the stage, okay? And that's our Discover agenda. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with a video. I'm going to play I always like to play the New Year's video, because it really sets the tone more than anything for sort of our philosophy and how we approach camp, but it also gives people a visual. So as we talk about camp, they can see those visuals in their mind. They'll see Discovers in the video, they'll see Explorers and all others. Then we'll start talking about the basics about Discovers. What is a what is a Discover Camp program, the ages, all of that good stuff. We'll talk a little bit about our philosophy and our goals. I think that's so important. You don't just run camp. You run camp with a purpose, right? There's a meaning for what we do, and we're going to sort of lay that out a little bit. Then we'll get into the camp day. What does a camp day look like in terms of the structure, like from 30,000 feet? Then we'll drill down a little more into the curriculum in that camp day, those 5 days during the week. What is it that we're doing? What kind of activities and events? What's our approach to curriculum? Then we'll talk a little bit about coming to camp, as a parent. That's probably the thing that probably makes parents the nervous. What happens when I drop my kid off at camp? What happens when I drive away? You know what I mean? So we'll give you a sense of that and make you feel, put you at ease a little bit about that and you have a better understanding of what happens when we wave goodbye in the parking lot. We'll talk a little bit about the camp team, because really it's like the most important part of your child's camp experience. And then we've left some time at the end for Q&A, which is always important. So um, if you have questions, we will get to all those questions and answer those for everybody. Okay. All right. So without further ado, why don't we get to the video, short little video, and then we'll be back to keep going.
Since 1994, Kidventure has been helping shape the lives of kids through the power of camp.
And provide each kid a safe, caring environment where they can grow happy and strong. Respect. Friendship. Kindness.
One of our most important goals is to teach a child that nothing in life is impossible. Courage. Confidence. Leadership.
The real power of camp isn't what takes place at camp. It's what kids take away from camp that matters. Honesty. Gratitude. Grit. And imagination. This is what we teach at Kidventure.
We invite you to be part of Kidventure's 30th year of summer camp.
Spaces are limited, so register today.
All right, so there you go. Those are sort of the kind of, hopefully that gives you a sense of what we're doing at camp and what that looks like. We'll talk a little bit more about that philosophy. And I mean, you probably noticed in there some character traits. That's a big part of what we do during the summertime, and there's one specifically for each week. But I want to talk about the basics of camp right now, what that means for your child and for you as well. And I think for that, I'm going to turn that over to Molly and to Nada. You guys, why don't you just kind of describe what that's like? How does our Discover program differ from Explorers and Leads, for example?
Yeah, so our Discover program runs from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., a regular camp day. The ages are 3 to 5 years old. All of our Discover campers must be potty trained. The difference between Explorer and Explorer Leads and the Discoverers is our ratio is much smaller. So we understand that they're much younger, they require attention for safety reasons. So we do one camp counselor per 6 adults. And they also do small groups by age. We're not going to group our 3-year-olds with our 5-year-olds. We'll get a bunch of 3-year-olds in one group, 4s, wherever they lie in their age. And everything's age appropriate, scaled down, much simpler, not as complicated as some of the projects are for explorers, everything that they can do. And our discoverers need consistency. That's a big piece for their development in their young ages. So they get the same counselors every week, and they combine depending on their age and where they're at. But they'll see the same counselors every week, so that gives them a nice sense of consistency. They can rely on that, and it's just good overall for their development.
Yeah, Molly, can you expand on what we mean also about scaling a project, right? Because a project for a 5-year-old can be very different than a project for a 3-year-old. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes. So we kind of look at developmental stages, and a lot of times with those fine motor skills and gross motor skills and what they can do at that age in their development. So a lot of times my projects for my discoverers will be the same across the ages, but our counselors are trained to know, okay, how am I going to gear this down for my 3-year-olds? Cutting is not as easy for them. Writing their name, things like that. So we kind of scale it down and break it down into more understandable chunks for them and have a lot more assistance. So the projects are the same for the 3s, 4s, and the 5s, but our counselors are trained to know, okay, this is how I gear it up for my 5-year-olds, and this is how I gear it down for my 3-year-olds, and then a nice medium for those 4s, almost 5s, or young 4s. Another thing too with the ages I just want to mention is that a lot of times we go over grade level as well. So if your camper has not gone through kindergarten, they are a discoverer, and that includes kinder bridge. So if they're in kinder bridge right now and they're not going into first grade next year, they are still a discoverer.
Potty trained. I know we get a lot of questions about the potty trained. What does potty trained mean? You want to expand on that a little bit, because I know that's always a question that comes up.
Yes. So potty trained means your camper can take themselves to the bathroom, and of course we will provide assistance as needed. But this means that they're not in pull-ups even for that nap chill time. So no pull-ups or any kind of diapers at all throughout the day. And they can take themselves to the bathroom. They can voice that they need to go to the bathroom. Of course, we're going to have scheduled bathroom breaks because, some of them, those 3-year-olds especially, it's still new for them. So we're still going to have those scheduled breaks. But we want to make sure that they can take themselves to the bathroom and dress themselves as needed. But of course, our staff will help them. But we do not have the certification in our licensing. Our licensing does not cover diaper changes. So we cannot change diapers. It is not within our licensure, and our staff is not trained for that.
There you go. So if you're close, you still have like 3 months plus a little bit here. So good luck. I know for a lot of people that's that 3-year-old age is kind of that time where some of that comes together. If you have questions specific about that, feel free to call us up too as well. And speaking of questions as well, in the comments section, if you think of a question as we're moving along through the presentation today, please feel free to put that question in the comment section, because we'll address that here towards the end of the presentation. All right. Anything to add there, Nada, before we move on?
No, I think we got it covered.
Great. Thanks very much. All right. Very important for us is our philosophy and goals, right? And I think I mentioned this earlier. We don't just show up in the morning with a bag of balls and some crayons and some paper and call it camp. We're very intentional and purposeful about what we do because we are very concerned about outcomes, right? And I think you saw that in the video. We think that summer camp is a very powerful tool with which to teach a lot to kids. It's just a unique opportunity. It's not school. It's not home. It's very different. And that all really begins with our goals and our philosophy. And over the course of 30 years, that's really developed. The first and most important goal is we create a safe, comfortable environment for your child. That is number one. If we can't accomplish that, the rest of it sort of falls to the wayside. So the first thing for us is creating a safe environment where your child feels physically safe, socially safe, in an environment where he or she is cared for at all times. Second, we consider our programs very purposeful and intentional, and that has to do, once again, with those outcomes in number 3. So everything that we design, whether that is yoga or whether that's a fine motor skill program, has a purpose and is intended to create an outcome. And that's those outcomes. We want your child to walk away from Kidventure Camp at the end of the day, at the end of the week, and at the end of the summer, having a greater sense of self-esteem, greater sense of self-worth, having a greater level of confidence, feeling more comfortable creating and fostering friendships, advocating for themselves, taking risks, all of those things. Those are things that we intentionally think about and design our activities around so that we can create those outcomes. Very, very important for us and what we do in our mission. We think it's very important not just to teach character, but first and foremost to model character. And this is one of the things that's really important about our counselors. Our counselors they're like rock stars for our kids, right? And once again, it's not a teacher, it's not a parent. Campers have a hard time putting a finger on what a counselor really is, right? They play with me, they're mentoring me. And because of that, we have this unique opportunity to model positive behavior to those kids. And we think that's very fundamentally a big part of our program. And lastly, and this kind of goes without saying, camp should be fun, right? I mean, camp inherently is fun. It should be active. If you were looking for a program where your child is going to sit around and watch movies all day and sit behind a screen, that is not Kidventure. We're the opposite of that. We're an extremely active program, even for our 3s, 4s, and 5s. You will be amazed at how well your child sleeps at night after a day at Kidventure camp. Let's just put it that way. Um, there we go. And then I talked about those character traits, and we created this logo this year with our 30th anniversary to kind of symbolize what that means. We think that the outcomes, right, the top of that tree, is dictated by how well we create opportunities for friendship, respect, confidence, grit, kindness, gratitude, honesty, courage, imagination. So we begin there, right? Those are sort of that's the catalyst for the outcomes at Kidventure Camp. And each week of this summer, we will have one of those character traits, if you will, emphasized during the week. We'll talk about it at open ceremonies. We'll talk about it at closing ceremonies. When it happens with our campers, we'll note it. It'll be integrated in our red ticket program, which is a positive reinforcement program that we utilize during camp. Very important to what we do is that character piece. Okay. And I just want everybody to kind of understand that. All right. Anything to add to that, Molly? Nada?
No.
All right.
Good.
All right, let's move on to the camp day. All right. So what does a Kidventure camp day actually kind of look like? Real important. Nada and Molly, take this, please, and let's talk about this and kind of paint that picture for everybody.
Yeah, so at 10:45 we have that curbside drop off. And this might be a little challenging for our discoverers, and you might want to cuddle them and be like, stay in my car. But just know we have a great staff on the other end waiting to greet them and welcome them to camp. Right at 8:30, we have opening ceremonies, and that's really helps get the camp started. This is what Mike mentioned earlier, the character traits. This is where we introduce it. We really emphasize it, and we truly, our staff, try to model our character traits. And then from the time from 9 to 11, there's 30-minute rotations for our discovers. At every rotation, either at the beginning or at the end, they're taking potty breaks, and consistency for them just so they don't have accidents. Anytime between 11 and noon, they'll have lunch. They have midday rally, that midday hyping them up to finish off the day strong. And then our discoverers also have chill time, which is different from our explorers and leads. Just a little bit of time. They're little, and camp requires a lot of energy. So taking that time to just relax and zone off for a little bit so they can come back full force right after chill time, and they'll have that afternoon rotations. So from 1:15 to 2:30, they'll go back into that 30-minute rotation with consistent potty breaks. And then 2:30 to 3, we really wrap up the camp day and do closing ceremonies and just really hype up the next day. We're excited to be back the next day. We're sad to see them go, but we'll be excited to see them the next day. And then from 3 to 6, they're either going home or doing post camp. Post camp for our discovers, it's very different. There are explorers. We tend to separate them a little bit at the beginning, but once numbers start condensing down, we'll group them, but they'll never be in a big group game with our explorers. They're just so tiny.
Yeah, Molly, talk to us a little bit more about opening and closing ceremonies. Paint that picture a little bit more and the importance of what opening and ceremonies and closing ceremonies does for our campers and our staff.
Yeah, so think of opening and closing ceremonies as kind of a big pep rally, right? So opening ceremonies, we're getting all the campers together and getting them excited about the day. During this time, we're going to be singing songs, doing silly skits, doing some dances, so the campers can kind of get the feel of, oh, this is going to be fun, right? And then we'll also kind of tell the campers what we're doing for the day. So some campers they need to know what we're doing today, right? They have to know. So we will go through that schedule with them and walk them through it, just so they know what to expect during the day. And then again, like Nina said, we'll go over that character trait for the week. And of course, for the discoverers, a word like respect is a pretty big word, right? So we're going to break it down for them in a definition that they can understand and they can grasp. And then we'll kind of they'll get introduced to their counselors and their other friends. So they're going to know which counselor they have for the week, and what other campers will be with them during that week. Closing
Yeah,
ceremonies is, oh, go ahead.
no, it's fun. I always think of opening ceremonies too as like this big icebreaker. It's like, if like, even at my age, if I got dropped off at somebody's house and I had to go to the front door and somebody let me in and there was like, 80 other people in there, I didn't know anybody, it sure would be helpful if I had some kind of an opening ceremonies to sort of break the ice and bring everybody together. And I think that's another reason I think opening ceremonies are so valuable, because it just makes kids feel excited and part of everybody else and what we're doing, and break that ice, and then getting into those small groups and doing name games and learning secret handshakes and all that good stuff that we do at camp, I think is very valuable, sort of to get rid of the nervousness, that you experience on that first Monday of your first day of camp. So anyway, yep, go ahead now, closing ceremonies.
And then closing ceremonies, same kind of structure as opening. It's just a nice bow at the end of the day. We all come together. We talk about what we did that day. Again, we're going to do some silly skits, some silly songs. We might even do a counselor challenge or two. So your camper might get to pie their counselor in the face during this time, which is a highlight of anyone's day. And we kind of just discuss what we did, and then anything else to expect for the next day, any reminders. So, if the next day is pajama day, we'll say, hey, don't forget to wear your pajamas tomorrow, and kind of put in a nice neat bow and get everyone organized so we can go ahead and, if they're going to post camp or car line, we'll get them kind of gathered in there, separate them so they know where they're going, and help them gather all their things and kind of get them out the door as safely as possible. But yeah, closing ceremonies, very similar to opening. It's just kind of that cherry on top for the end of the day.
There we go. All right, thank you. I appreciate it very much. So let's break that down a little bit more in terms of the curriculum. And before we get going with the actual activities that we do, we develop over 30 years, we developed, sort of our own curriculum, and it's called the Four Corners. And everything that we do really falls under one of four of these corners. And the first is exploration. We think that every child inherently needs to and wants to explore their world. Through that act of exploration, they discover, they learn. Physical activity is what it is. We move our bodies, right? We stay fit during camp. We do that in a variety of different ways, from fine motor skill to gross motor skill. Creativity. We get to use that part of our brain that allows us to stretch ourselves. That obviously art is a big part of that too, but that can also happen in KV Lives, which we talk about later on. And the last is reflection, often misunderstood or abandoned because of the way how fast we move in life today. But we think it's important to actually reflect on what we've done and think about things. We do that a variety of different ways. One would be yoga, for example. Another would be ribbon ceremony, where we actually think about other people and the actions of other people. The red ticket system would be another, I think, form of reflection as well. So just taking time to think about what we've done, about consequences, about our actions, about the world around us, what we just accomplished, I think is real important. And those are our four. So everything that we're going to talk about really falls under one of those four cornerstones. I'll let you guys kind of talk about these two.
Yeah. So Splash Day. So our discoveries do Splash Day once a week, and it could be a variety of Splash Day rotation centers. So they can have like a baby pool, Splash Day games. This year and last year we're gonna do Splash Day Plus. So that's where we bring a water inflatable, something to really hypen up Splash Day. So Splash Day is super fun. Our discoveries look forward to it every week. Just a chance to go outside and have fun with water and enjoy each other. And then they also do rock climbing. So our discoverers do rock climbing as long. Same with our explorers. It's really fun to watch our discoverers do rock climbing because they're a lot faster than our explorers because they're so small and light. At first they get scared, but once they realize they can go as fast, they're on there multiple times. So rock climbing has been my favorite thing to watch our discoverers do because at the beginning they're kind of hesitant, and once they realize how fast they can go to the top, they want to continue doing it over and over again.
Nada,
And then
are you able to get to the top of the rock wall, Nada?
not without hesitation or crying. I'm scared of heights. I'll get like midway and then I'm like, I'm ready to come down. But not our discoverers. They're like ready to go all the
They're
time.
brave. They're brave.
Yes, they're very brave. It's always funny when they want to race, and I'm like, you're much faster. Go ahead. But
Uh,
yeah, and then we also have art projects. And then Molly.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we'll have art projects and science projects, and then so these are just excuse me. These are opportunities for campers to be creative and to explore the world around them. So some of our projects, we have an end goal, but we'll give them multiple different materials and kind of and help them guide them through so they can kind of explore different modalities as they want to, and kind of they get to be creative in that as they see fit. And then again, this year, we're bringing in that novel effect reading program. If you don't know what that is, it's a really cool app that follows your voice as you're reading aloud a book, and it does music behind you or sound effects. It's really fun. It enhances that read aloud time, and kind of increasing literacy for campers and getting them excited to read. So we'll do a read aloud with the campers. And then those books will be kind of based on the theme or the character trait that we have that week. So that they all kind of tie in together. And reading those books will kind of gives campers, an easier way to conceptualize those character traits.
yeah, well, I think one of my favorite things to do is come in to a Discover camp and be like a guest reader using the novel effect program. That's one of my favorite things to do. I have so much fun doing that. The novel effect program, I think you said it too, it doesn't necessarily teach them to read, but it teaches them a love and excitement for reading because it brings the book to life, in other words. So happy that we have brought the novel effect reading program back as well. All right. A few more things I want to talk about. KV Lives. Explain the KV Lives to everybody because they're going to see that word and people don't know about it unless they've experienced it before.
Yeah, so our discoverers do not go on field trips. They're too little to go on buses and for safety reasons. So we actually bring something special to them. It's a field trip in on site. So those are our KV Live. So it's a special activity each week. Includes guest speakers like a magician, a bubble party. I also mentioned the inflatable water bounce house, various face painting that just come and really dedicate some time to our discovers, instead of going on field trips.
Very popular program with all of our kids for sure.
Hmm.
And archery. Molly, talk about archery. Yes, we do
Yes.
archery with 3-year-olds.
Yes. So for archery for 3-year-olds, it might look different than it is with the Explorer program. So with the Explorer program, we actually might play the game archery tag. But for our 3 to 5s, we're going to work on that hand-eye coordination target practice. So in the picture, you can see there's a green bow. It's smaller and it's lighter, so it's easier for the campers to hold. And it's so our old bows, a lot of the older ones were taller than a lot of our campers. So we got these smaller, more modified bows to kind of help them hold it. So we're going to help the campers every other week shoot those arrows out. So it's going to be kind of how they put the arrow into it, pulling back the string and letting go, and seeing their strength kind of build over time is really cool. So we'll have their counselors will come out and help them with that. And it's probably one of their favorite activities, that and rock wall. So they get to kind of shoot around. Sometimes the counselors will run in and be like, "Oh, can you get me?" And they'll play target practice on the counselors. But it's all soft tip, a little marshmallow at the end, so it does not hurt when you are hit with the arrow.
There we go. Thank you very much, Molly. Appreciate that. All right. Anything to add about curriculum? that maybe we left out? I know we didn't go over everything that we do in a given week. Centers, for example, is something, and I think that's important to bring up because, you know, while we have a lot of structured activities, right, we still balance that out with opportunities for free choice, self-directed play, because I think that's essential to any child's development is having the opportunity to choose what they want to do, whether that's free play on the playground, whether that's centers. Talk a little bit about that, if y'all will, please.
Yeah, so centers, oh God, it doesn't matter.
Oh, go ahead, Nada.
So centers is really that outcome. It is free play, but it's also very purposeful for their ages. You know, kids 3 to 5, they need that time to, it's the exploration piece to our curriculum. They need that time to explore, to have imagination, do imagination centers. This is where they dress up and pretend to be firefighters. But it's really everything. All the centers have purpose. Creative centers, they get to free draw whatever they feel like. And a lot of the times, this is the way our discoverers express themselves, and how they see us. One of my favorite parts this past winter break is when they were doing dress up, and they pretended to be a counselor. And it was really fun because they were modeling everything that their counselor was doing. They were doing attention getters to get the attention of the other discoverers. So it's really fun. It's really the opportunity for them to grow and just explore without a lot of adult direction. It's specifically what they need at this time.
Future camp director, right there in the making,
Yeah.
huh? All right, great. Thanks very much. All right, that's curriculum. Let's turn our attention now to coming to camp. I think it's important, and I think I mentioned this earlier, maybe, I think one of the things that makes a parent nervous is that, that drop off, my kid going into camp. What happens after those doors shut and I drive off, that kind of thing like that. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and specifically coming to camp. So upon entering camp, and I think Nada maybe mentioned this earlier, all of our drop off is curbside. So we don't allow our parents to come into camp and hang out. That's never a good thing long term when that happens. And plus, for safety reasons, we do all of our drop off outside of camp. So curbside drop off, we'll escort that child in with their hand from the car and into camp. And that camper is going to get greeted. We're going to drop to a knee and get on their eye level with them, make them feel comfortable and good about being at camp and welcome them in the right kind of way. So we do ask for sort of what we call a compassionate departure, right? It's best, especially with our 3s, 4s, and 5s, to have a great day. Love you, honey. Bye-bye. Even if that child is crying or nervous, 99.9% of the time that happens, within 5 minutes, they're laughing and they're engaged and they're having a great time at camp. You just have to remember that. We're happy to call you later on if that was kind of a tough departure for you. But that really, in 30 years experience, is the best way to get into camp and get their day going. We want to please ensure that any meds that you're dropping off at camp are handed to the staff with a medical dosage form. Okay, and all of this is kind of covered in the confirmation email and the information that you'll get before camp starts. We'll talk about communication here in a little bit. But we really want to make sure that no medications are left in your child's bag and we find them in there. Any medications just need to go to a staff member with the proper medical dosage form, which we provide you. Am I leaving anything out there, Nada or Molly?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Okay. Molly, talk to us about what we're looking for our discoverers to wear and pack with them for a successful day at Kidventure.
Yeah, so definitely wearing something comfortable, athletic wear with their camp shirt. So that camp shirt, please remember, is required. So when you guys register, you can go ahead and order that camp shirt, blue shirt for our discoverers. So making sure they're in something comfortable. It's hot. We're moving a lot. Sometimes jeans is not the greatest choice. Of course, we understand some campers, they have certain preferences. Tennis shoes, we're running around a lot, we're walking a lot. So no sandals, Crocs, or flip-flops, please. just because that's trip hazard right there, because we're doing a lot of active running. Of course, when we do splash days, you can pack, water shoes, or those Crocs or those flip flops, just to keep their feet protected when we're outside, on the grass or on the hot ground. And then please come dressed in your swimsuit when you do have splash day already. This cuts down on changing time. We are able to get out there a lot faster, so they have more time in the water. Lunch, so please pack their lunch unless you're ordering a camp lunch. I believe it is now available in all 3 cities, and I think in Dallas it's select sites, so you'll have to double check on that. So if you are not ordering a lunch from us, make sure they have a lunch. A filled water bottle. Of course, we're going to be filling water bottles throughout the day. We're going to do water breaks because we are moving around and it is hot. But please come with an already filled water bottle, and a pretty decently sized one as well. Not one of those little itty bitty ones. We like those nice big ones. And then an extra change of clothes, in case accidents happen, or, more painting. We might be finger painting. We might get messy. Sometimes it's great to have an extra change of clothes, especially for those splash days. If your child is going to nap, please bring a nap mat. So however that looks for you. Even if you aren't sure if your child is going to want to nap and they're kind of on that cusp, sometimes we have 4s and 5s are on that cusp of they're not napping anymore, but sometimes they might still bring one just in case they do want to lay down, because we won't have anything for them. We maybe will have a towel or something that we can give them. But if you're not sure, go ahead and pack that anyway. Super important, sunscreen. We do go outside. The sun is really, really, really bright. So please pack some sunscreen, and then come to camp already with that sunscreen applied as well. And we will do reapplying throughout the day. Please have all their items in the backpack. Sometimes we have those little tiny backpacks. It would be great if we have, kind of more appropriate sized backpack to keep everything in, so it's not everywhere and then we lose things. Of course, you will receive, upon your first day of camp, these awesome big tote bags that will write your child's name on the side of, and that will fit everything in there. And then please label all of their belongings. I'm talking underwear, I'm talking socks, everything that comes with them. Please label it. It's hard for us to keep track of every single item that your camper brings with them. There's quite a few of them, so it's kind of hard for our counselors to keep track of every single item. And also, I just suggest don't pack or bring anything that you don't want your camper to lose or to leave at camp. That's my biggest piece of advice. So I would kind of steer away from, expensive towels or anything like that. So I would, just make sure everything is labeled so it goes back to the correct camper at the end of the day.
It's always kind of funny, when you have discovers there and there's this one pair of underwear or some item that's left that we don't know whose it is, and you ask, and it's either no one knows who it is or everybody's hand says, yep, that's mine. It's like, it's impossible.
It's impossible. I mean, I tell you, I see about 20 fire truck nap mats in a week. So please label it with their name. And then, of course, if it goes to lost and found, it's easy for us to get it back to you. And if you tell us, they're missing their hat, first question we're going to ask you is if it's labeled with their name. So just make sure that it's labeled.
Yeah, a couple comments on the water bottle too as well. Not all water bottles for a 3-year-old are easily drinkable as well. The Kidventure water bottle, we have vetted that for many years now. I'm not trying to upsell you on the water bottle, but for a lot of reasons, it's like the perfect water bottle for our discoverers and explorers because it's got the flip top straw inside. It's real easy. If they're not sucking on it, it's not leaking as well. And it fits in a cup holder, which a lot of water bottles don't fit in a cup holder. So if you're looking for a good solid water bottle that your discoverer will not spill in their backpack with everything else, we do sell one on the website when you're registering. So there's that. Nada, anything else you think we're missing on there? Oh, come packed with a good attitude too, right, Nada?
Yes. I think it's I know we realize that a lot of these are Discover friends that are coming to camp for the first time. This is their first experience outside of home. They've not been to daycare. This is their first experience before school. So we know it's hard for our discoverers and our parents too. Maybe our discoverers are not crying and parents are crying in the car. And we just ask you to drive off. But, it's hard. And, as long as you come ready and prepare and just follow the proper communication. And most of our staff are openly ready to call you like, oh, he's doing much better, or they're doing much better. So they'll have a great time.
Wonderful. And it's a good segue, by the way, with regards to staff. Let's talk about our team, because really at the end of the day, I think that is the most important part of the success of a camp program is the quality, the attention of the staff, the care that they provide. And I really feel like that's been Kidventure's number one priority from day one in 1994. And that's providing, the most well-qualified, caring, loving staff that we have, right? And, there's Nada. And it really is the difference, right? Because at the end of the day, what your child is going to remember most about camp is not going to be the fuse bead project or the water slide or the petting zoo. It's going to be Catherine. It's going to be Dylan. It's going to be their counselor. That's the person that they come back every day to camp for. That's the one that brightens their day, introduces them to new friends, creates opportunities for learning and fun. And so all of our staff are adults. We have an adult team. We talked earlier that our ratios are 1 to 6 for that Discover program. Everybody, this is not required, and most camps don't do this, but we feel like it is absolutely paramount to our program. Everyone is CPR and first aid certified, not just the director at camp. Everyone has yearly national background checks that are clean. Lot of our staff, because we recruit a lot at college educations and schools, are education majors and teachers. Why is that? Well, because we want people who are already dedicated and committed to the lives of kids, right? They want to spend the rest of their life as a career helping kids, and they make the best camp counselors. For our teachers, it's like they wish school was, right? They get to let their hair down. They're much more hands-on. We don't have to teach to standardized test. We just get to have fun and engage kids and help them grow and learn in an environment that's very dynamic and energetic. All of our staff are in uniform, so you will know exactly who everybody is at camp. And most importantly, they love their campers. They really do. It's a hard job, right? And in any career where you are putting time and attention and effort into children, it's a lot of effort, but the rewards from that are so great for our staff, and that's why they keep coming back, and that's certainly the most important part of our program. All right, so that's the staff. I want to talk a little bit about communications because it's so important, right? And I think today more than ever, we all don't read every email we get, and and we try to describe everything in 140 characters or less. But it is so important, and I can't emphasize enough that if we send you a communication for the summertime or during the summertime, it's important. And the more that you understand those comms and read those, the more successful I think that translates to the success of your kids' experience at camp. So we do that 3 ways, okay? The first is the Kidventure app. If you've not already done so, if you haven't registered and you're going to register, the next step would be to download the Kidventure app from Apple Store or Google Play. All right. This is our very own app, which will do a variety of things for you. It'll send you push notifications, things like, it's crazy sock day tomorrow. Don't forget, Dad. Or, we have inclement weather this afternoon. We're going to be shifting our schedule indoors. If you get a push notification, typically it's something important, okay? The other thing is our directors or staff, certain staff are taking pictures during the day. We post those pictures and videos to the app. It's a great way to keep up with us at camp is to see those pictures of your kid at camp. And so that's another great way. You can also register from the app as well, too. The next form of communication I think is really important, and this has to do with each session that you're signed up for, you're going to receive a camp newsletter on the Thursday before each week attending. So if you're attending on Monday of a certain week, that Thursday before that, we're going to email you the camp newsletter. It's going to have things like drop-off times, pickup times, directions to camp, camper info. It's going to highlight the week's agenda. What are we doing that week? It'll have special links on there to things like a medical dosage form, or if we have a specific waiver for a field trip that an explorer is going to go on, that could be in there. We'll have the lunch menu in there, and your camp team is going to be in there too, specific. So these are newsletters that are specific to your campsite for that camp week. Okay, so if you're coming to 7 weeks of camp at Kidventure at a particular campsite, you're going to get 7 unique newsletters. Those are real important. We've created those to be mobile ready, so on your phone, real easy to view, and that's a great way to know and keep up with sort of what's going on at camp. The last, and I'll tell you, just as important, maybe even more important, is that every family at Kidventure is assigned a customer service rep. Okay, and that rep is sort of your helper. You know, if you have questions about camp, if you want to talk to a human, we have real live human people and not bots at Kidventure who are ready to help you out with anything. If you have comments, if you have concerns about camp, that's where you need to go. Because we don't give you the number to our director at camp. If we did, our director couldn't run camp. All they would do is sit on the phone and talk to you on the phone, and that's not what you want. If you need to get a hold of our director, if you need to let you know that you're going to be late picking up your child, if they need to roll into post camp, if they have a doctor's appointment, you need to pick them up early. It's your customer service rep that you need to reach out to. They'll reach out to that director, give them that information, and we'll be good to go. That customer service rep and that contact information will be on every one of your newsletters. So that's right there for you. Okay. Those are the 3 ways that we communicate, especially during the summertime. We feel like that's really effective. But it's more effective if you read the emails and you get that app downloaded and get those notifications. That just makes it so much easier for yourself, for your camper, and for us. Anything to add to that, Molly or Nada?
Yeah, for the app, just keep in mind that you won't see pictures if you're not logging in with the email that was used to register, right? So if mom used her email to register your camper, then when you log into that app, all the pictures will only be seen under mom's account. So if dad creates a separate account, but he didn't register through his account, then he won't see those pictures, right? Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're logging in there. And then please give our staff grace with the pictures sometimes, especially on a Monday morning. I know you want to see what's going on. Our directors are kind of making sure everyone's in the right place and organizing. So it might take us a little bit on like Mondays to get those pictures up. So please give us some grace there. And then there was one more thing another thing that we use to communicate is there will be a whiteboard outside your campsite, just with reminders of things that might be happening that week. So what our KV Live is that week, when Splash Day is. So on there, they'll have some information on that whiteboard as well for you when you drop off and pick up.
Yeah, to reiterate another way of saying about the account credentials that you use to register are the same account credentials for the app. So whatever username, email, and password you use to register for Kidventure, go back in and make adjustments, is the same account information for the app. Okay, there you go. All right. With that, I'm going to turn it over to some Q&A. So let's see. I think we have a few questions, not a whole lot, but let's do that right now. The first question, and I'll put that up, comes from Kiera. What precautions are taken during the hottest days during the summer? It's a great question, Kiera. Thank you very much for that question. If you just moved here from Maine and you've not experienced a Texas summer, prepare. No. First of all of our facilities have been selected because they have wonderful indoor space that's air conditioned, okay? It is way too hot in the Texas summer to run summer camp outdoors all day long. We can't do it. We wouldn't do it, okay? But we even modify our outdoor time even with all those indoor facilities. The vast majority of our outdoor high activity events will take place in the morning time, okay? Between, let's call it 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. If we're doing something outdoors, it's selective, right? If it's getting too hot, we're gonna adjust our schedule accordingly, okay? You know, that's the other reason that we push water bottles a whole lot, and coming with fluid, coming to camp already hydrated, and staying ahead of that curve is really important. Refilling our water bottles during camp is important too. We're very sensitive to the heat, and we want to make sure that your child, first and foremost, is happy and healthy. Anything to add to that, guys?
I'm just noting that I learned this actually living in Florida. So for a year, that hydration begins like 24 hours before you do the activity. So making sure too that when you're at home before they come to camp, so that they're ready for camp, hydrating at home as well. And then we will continue that hydration throughout the camp day as well. And then, you know, if we're going to go to the playground or something in the afternoon, we're going to limit that to 20-30 minutes at the max, just because it's so hot. And of course, if it's just too hot to go outside, we're going to gauge that.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much. Next question comes from Sandra. With such a long day, are there opportunities for snacks? Nada, I'll let you answer that one. How about that?
So we do provide snacks for our discoverers. They eat lunch much earlier than the rest of our groups. So they'll eat lunch and then they'll have a snack. If they stay for post camp, they'll also have a snack. They'll have a snack in the morning too. So we understand that our discoverers run through a lot of energy when they come to camp. So we do provide snacks for them. And then also, you know, some of our discoverers are picky eaters. They might not like our goldfish. So if you want to pack their own snack and just label it snack time, they're also welcome to have that as well.
Great. Thank you, Sandra. See if we have any more in here. Another one from Sandra. What happens during chill time if my camper doesn't sleep? I'm just going to tell you right now, when I was 4 years old, you couldn't make me sleep. I'm telling you right now, I was not. I'm still. I don't think I've napped for like 40 years, to be honest with you. It's just not something that's in part of my DNA. We get that, and we do not force our kids to sleep, right? However, we have some kids, they need that little nap time, right? It's part of their routine, and we're going to respect that schedule and ensure that that child and create a space and an environment where that child can take that nap. That's why we call it chill time. We don't call it nap. A lot of people freak out when we say nap. It's a powerful word for a lot of parents, I think, you know, whether they're for it or against it or whatever. For those kids that don't nap, we'll create quiet opportunities where they can chill out. It could be reading, could be music, could be something like that. But we do take a breath because, once again, we're a very active camp program. Any more questions? God, yeah, this is an easy crowd today, by the way. Thank you very much, Evan. Love you, Evan. Blue shirts. I think that's all the questions. We certainly are always here to answer your questions. We are recording this presentation. We will post this recording. If you did not watch this, then it will be on both our Facebook and our YouTube channel for you to view. Please feel free to share that with your friends and neighbors if they want to have a better understanding of the Discover program. In closing, we do have the next live streams that are coming up. I believe the next one is March the 20th after spring break for most people. And that will talk about all things Leeds. Leeds is our 5th through 9th grade camp. Looks nothing like Discover's, by the way. And that camp program now happily is taking place in all 3 cities, Dallas, Austin, and Houston. It's an incredible program for sort of that younger teen, 5th through 9th grade. The next one after that, go ahead, Molly.
I just do a quick typo. It's 6th through 9th grade.
Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry. It is 6th through 9th grade. Then we have Explorers on the 27th of March, all things Explorer. So that's entering 1st grade through 5th grade. And then I think I have one more maybe. Then we're going to talk on April the 17th. We'll talk field trips in KV Live. Let me reiterate again that Discovers do not field trip. They stay on campus the entire time, but our Explorers and our Leads programs do go on field trips. That particular presentation is going to be dedicated to that. By that time, I think, right, we'll have most of our field trips booked too as well, so we can talk a little bit more in depth about that and all of our KV Lives. KV Lives, of course, is a part of the Discover program. And with that, I think that's it. I appreciate y'all helping me today and giving us all your insight on the Discover program. Super excited about this summer, our 30th year of summer camp. Molly, anything you want to leave us with?
I'm just so excited. When spring break hits, we're always like, oh, summer's right around the corner. I think we're about 90 days to camp. I might be wrong. It might be a little bit more than that, but we're pretty close. So I'm just getting excited. And this weather is giving us just a taste that summer is right here. So I'm excited for the 30th year, excited for everything we have planned for y'all, and hope to see you this summer.
Nada?
Yeah, just to reiterate what Molly said, we're super excited to have you guys join camps. And if you have any questions, just reach out to your city and we'll be happy to help you.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Molly. Appreciate Nada. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We appreciate it. And let us know if we can do anything for you. Have a great day and a wonderful spring break. Bye-bye.
Bye.